So good day everyone. I am Mark Lawrence Campaner from Group 2, and for today I will discuss the activity and the analysis. So first in the activity, we are tasked to describe what we observed from the first illustration till to the fourth illustration. So as you can see, the illustrations above showcased various kinds of individuals we have in our society, which allows us to have an in-depth comprehension of how diverse we are. And despite of this diversity, we are still able to progress as a whole without having division because of our differences. So in the first image, as you can see, the first illustration depicts a group of individuals and some of them have disabilities. However, despite having these disabilities in their lives, they did not view it as an impediment that they have to overcome. Rather, they embraced themselves and accepted who they are to create a space for them. So next, second image. So as you can see, it portrays a scene where a person with disability is being embraced and accepted by others. They are viewed and treated as a normal individuals as their disabilities are only part of them and doesn't define who they are and as a person and a member of the society. So the next one is the third image, which depicts an idea that everyone, including person with disabilities, deserves an equal opportunities for education. These opportunities would help them to study the professions they would like to become someday. And lastly, which is the fourth image, it illustrates the idea that people with disabilities can also succeed in their studies and achieve their dreams through access to education. The next activity to be discussed is the analysis. So in here, we are tasked to answer the following questions based from what we observed from the illustrations above. So the first question is, was there is a progress seen from the first illustration up to the fourth? To answer the question, I would say yes. The progress is seen in the illustration that is given. So in question number 2, it says that if your answer is yes, how could you say that there is a progress? So since my answer is yes, the illustration shows a progression towards a more inclusive and accepting society for individuals with disabilities. From being part of a group to being accepted, having equal opportunities for education, and succeeding in their studies and reaching their dreams. And the last question states that, do you think an individual can reach his full potential by himself? Why or why not? And to answer that, I would say no. I don't think an individual could reach his full potential by himself. Everyone needs support and guidance from others to reach their full potential. However, this does not definitely state that an individual cannot live without the help of others. It is only whether an individual will be more developed and reach its potential with the help of others because it may lead to significant positive changes and outcome. So that ends my discussion. And for the other activities, it will be discussed by my group mates. Thank you and good day.
Hi, I am Francis Patrick Ambollones, and we will be talking about special and inclusive education. Let us remember these key terms first. Special education, inclusive education, and person with disability. Special education, also known as special needs education, aided education, vocational education, and limb care authority education, is the process of teaching children with special educational needs in a method that addresses the learner's unique qualities and requirements. Inclusive education. It allows all children, regardless of whatever difficulties they may have, to be enrolled in their age-appropriate general education courses in their local schools in order to get high-quality instruction, interventions, and supports that enable them to succeed in their core curriculum. Person with disability. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act of 2004 defines a child with a disability as one who requires special education and related services due to mental retardation, hearing impairments, speech or language impairments, visual impairments, serious emotional disturbance, orthopedic impairments, autism, traumatic brain injury, other health impairments, or specific learning abilities. Disabilities, rather. Now I have a question. What is special and inclusive education? So, according to UNICEF, all children can be in the same classroom and can be in the same schools. It means that historically marginalized groups, including speakers of minority languages and children with disabilities, will now have real educational opportunities. All children, regardless of whatever difficulties they may have, can now receive equal education like every other child through special and inclusive education. Marginalization and disability are two of the most serious barriers to education across the globe. But through the special and inclusive education, students from all backgrounds may now study and develop together in an inclusive environment, which is to everyone's benefit. UNICEF has estimated 240 million children worldwide have disabilities. Like all children, children with disabilities have ambitions and dreams for their futures. Like all children, they need quality education to develop their skills and realize their full potential. According to UNICEF, to provide special and inclusive education, all schools must implement a few things. Firstly, in school, instructors must obtain training. Facilities must be renovated, and pupils or learners must have educational materials that are accessible. Secondly, stigma and discrimination must be combated at the community level, and people must be made aware of the advantages of inclusive education. Why is special and inclusive education important? Another question for you to think about. So, according to Liego, first of all, it makes sure that every student has the chance to grow and learn in a setting that is secure and encouraging. Second, educating children on how to collaborate with individuals of diverse abilities helps them prepare for life in the real world. Lastly, it encourages acceptance and understanding between those who have disabilities and those who do not. We should advocate for special inclusive education because it breaks the barrier of our differences of each other. By breaking this barrier, we can include and allow everyone to receive equal education and create a progressive and intellectually abundant society. To build a more just and equitable society, we are preparing children for success in the future by giving everyone an equal chance to study, develop, and be who they are. To remove barriers between various groups of people and make sure that everyone feels respected and accepted in our educational institutions, we must keep cooperating and uniting. The Philippines is making significant progress towards special and inclusive education, and it is crucial that all children have access to high quality instruction in every neighborhood in the community. We should remember that. Teachers can also assist all students in realizing their full potential with the appropriate equipment and materials in special and inclusive education. That's all. The pioneers who shaped special and inclusive education in the Philippines have put an immense effort to bring out a movement and change in the academic system of our country. It has dawned upon me that inclusivity is the key to a progressive and equitable nation or society. Inclusivity makes sure that the marginalized member of the society, and in this case, people with disabilities or special needs, are actually part of the system that everyone is in. The pioneers have paved the possibility of bringing out the potential of everyone through inclusivity and special education. It is important to understand that everyone has an equal chance to show their best and develop the same as others. We can continue to create a better country that meets the needs of all children.
I am Rochelle Onzo, and in this part of the video, we will tackle the laws and constitutions regarding on the special and inclusive education. So in 1963, the Republic Act number 3562 is launched. It is an act to promote the education of the blind in the Philippines. Highlighting the Section 2 of this Republic Act, upon the establishment of the Philippine National School for the Blind, the School for the Deaf and the Blind in Pasay City shall cease to give instruction to the blind and all its blind students, its equipment and facilities being used in the instruction of the blind and members of the faculty teaching the blind shall be transferred to the Philippine National School for the Blind. The next law is the 1968 Republic Act number 5250. It is an act establishing a 10-year training program for teachers of special and exceptional children in the Philippines and authorizing the appropriation of funds thereof. The term special and exceptional children shall include the mentally retarded, the crippled, the deaf and hard of hearing, the speech handicapped, the emotionally and socially disturbed, and the gifted. We have here the 1975 Presidential Decree number 603 under the Article 3, Rights of the Child. All children shall be entitled to the rights herein set forth without distinction as to legitimacy or illegitimacy, sex, social status, religion, political antecedents, and other factors. The gifted child shall be given opportunity and encouragement to develop his special talents. The emotionally disturbed or socially maladjusted child shall be treated with sympathy and understanding and shall be entitled to treatment and competent care. The physically or mentally handicapped child shall be given the treatment, education, and care required by his particular condition. Next is the 1978 Presidential Decree number 1509, creating the National Commission concerning disabled persons and for other purposes. Whereas, the national government recognizes its responsibility to provide the handicapped with the fullest measure of protection and assistance to help develop their abilities in all fields of endeavor and to promote their integration into the mainstream of society, as well as its primary duty for the prevention of physical and mental disabilities. We have a law also called Batas Pambansa bilang 232 in 1982. It is an act providing for the establishment and maintenance of an integrated system of education. So the state shall promote the right of every individual to relevant quality education, regardless of sex, age, creed, socioeconomic status, physical and mental conditions, racial or ethnic origin, political or other affiliation. The state shall thereof promote and maintain equality of access to education, or as well the enjoyment of the benefits of education by all its citizens. We have here also the 1983 Batas Pambansa bilang 344. It is an act to enhance the mobility of disabled persons by requiring certain buildings, institutions, establishments, and public utilities to install facilities and other devices. Under Section 1 of this Republic Act, in order to promote the realization of the rights of disabled persons to participate fully in the social life and the development of the societies in which they live and the enjoyment of the opportunities available to other citizens, no license or permit for the construction, repair, or renovations of public and private buildings for public use. The 1989 Republic Act number 6759, an act declaring August 1 of each year as White Cane Safety Day in the Philippines and for other purposes. So under Section 3 of this Republic Act states that White Cane Safety Day, August 1 of each year, is hereby declared as White Cane Safety Day for the purpose of instilling public awareness of the plight of the blind, promoting recognition and acceptance of the white cane as a symbol of the need of the blind for specific assistance, and as a reminder of the individual's duty to care for and accord due respect to his unfortunate brethren. Additionally, the 1992 Republic Act number 7610, it is an act providing for stronger deterrence and special protection against child abuse, exploitation, and discrimination, and for other purposes. Highlighting the Section 2 of this Republic Act, the Declaration of State Policy and Principle. It is hereby declared to be the policy of the state to provide special protection to children from all forms of abuse, neglect, cruelty, exploitation, and discrimination, and other conditions prejudicial their development, provide sanctions for their commissions, and carry out a program for prevention and deterrence of and crisis intervention in situations of child abuse. So the state shall intervene on behalf of the child when the parent, guardian, teacher, or person having care or custody of the child fails or is unable to protect the child against abuse, exploitation, and discrimination, or when such acts against the child are committed by the said parent, guardian, teacher, or person having care and custody of the same. The Dex Order number 5, series of 1998. It is direct classification of regular teacher and principal item to special education or SPED teachers and special school principal items. An elementary grades teacher who underwent formal training in special education at the national, regional, and division level and who is presently teaching children of special needs shall be considered as SPED teacher. So let's move on to the DEC Order number 11 series of 2000 entitled The Recognized Special Education or SPED Centers in the Philippines. The establishment of this center aims to provide access to basic education among children with special needs. The center shall also function as a resource center for inclusive education, which shall support children with special needs integrated in regular schools, assist in the conduct of school-based in-service training, produce appropriate teaching materials, and conduct continuous assessment of children with special needs. The Republic Act number 9288 of 2004, an act promulgating a comprehensive policy in the national system for ensuring newborn screening. It is the policy of the state to protect and promote the right to health of the people, including the rights of children to survival and full and healthy development as normal individuals. In pursuit of such policy, the state shall institutionalize a national newborn screening system that is comprehensive, integrative, and sustainable, and will facilitate collaboration among government and non-government agencies at the national and local levels, the private sector, families and communities, professional health organizations, academic institutions, and non-government organizations. The national newborn screening system shall ensure that every baby born in the Philippines is offered the opportunity to undergo newborn screening and thus be spared from heritable conditions that can lead to mental retardation and death if undetected and untreated. The next law to be discussed and tackled is the Republic Act 7277, an act providing for the rehabilitation, self-development, and self-reliance of disabled persons and their integration into the mainstream of society and for other purposes. Under Section B of this Republic Act, disabled persons have the same rights as other people to take their proper place in society. They should be able to live freely and as independently as possible. This must be the concern of everyone, the family, community, and all government and non-government organizations. Disabled persons' rights must never be perceived as welfare services by the government. Moving on to the latest law regarding on the special and inclusive education, the Republic Act 11650, instituting a policy of inclusion and services for learners with disabilities in support of Inclusive Education Act. So this is an act instituting a policy of inclusion and services for learners with disabilities in support of inclusive education, establishing inclusive learning resource centers of learners with disabilities in all schools, districts, municipalities, and cities, providing for standards, appropriating funds therefore, and for other purposes. So this law states that all public schools nationwide are required to identify learners with special needs and provide these learners with free basic and quality education. It also mandates that all cities and municipalities have at least one Inclusive Learning Resource Center or ILRC. An ILRC is a physical or virtual center that provides teaching and learning support through appropriate, accessible, and gender-sensitive materials. How will full implementation of this law contribute to public education in the Philippines? So learners with disabilities are often overlooked in public education. This results in low academic competence for these learners, making them less able to live full and meaningful lives. The law provides the resources to allow students with disabilities to be provided with individual learning programs based on their current skills and needs within the school setting. So that ends my report about the laws and constitutions regarding on the special and inclusive education in the Philippines.
Hello, I am Princess Albina and I am going to discuss to you the timeline of special education in the Philippines. It all started in the year of 1902 during the American regime when the interest to educate Filipino children with disabilities was expressed through Mr. Fred Atkinson, the General Superintendent of Education. Mr. Fred Atkinson found a census of deaf and blind school-aged children in Manila and reported it to the Secretary of Public Instructions. However, the special education program formally started in the year of 1907. In this year, special education was formally started in the country by establishing the Insular School for the Deaf and Blind in Manila. Mr. David Burrows, Director of Public Education, worked for the establishment of Insular School for the Deaf and Blind in Manila. Miss Delight Rice, an American educator, was the first administrator and teacher of the said school. In the year of 1926, the Philippine Association for Deaf, or PAD, composed mostly of hearing-impaired members and special education, was founded. In 1927, the government established the Welfareville Children's Village, a school for people with mental retardation in Mandaluyong. In 1933, the first advocacy groups to fight for quality special education were made up of parents whose children were marginalized. In 1945, the National Orthopedic Hospital School for the Crippled Children and Youth was established. In 1949, the Quezon City Science High School inauguration for the gifted students. The PFID was organized and started to help people with disabilities. In 1950, the Philippine Association for the Deaf, or the PAD, opened a school for children with hearing impairment. In the year 1953, the Alsigashi village was established in Alabang to take care of the abandoned orphanage children and youth with physical and mental handicaps. Year 1956, special classes for the deaf in regular class were implemented. In 1957, the Bureau of Public Schools of the Department of Education and Culture created a special education section of the special subjects and service education. In the year of 1960, some private college and universities started to offer special education courses and graduate school curriculum. Republic Act No. 3562 was passed in the year of 1963. It is an act to promote the education of the blind in the Philippines, which established teacher training. Established to promote the vision impairment in the Philippines, with the approval of RA No. 3562, the training of DEC teacher scholars for blind children started at the PNU. Year of 1965 marked the start of the training program for schools administrators on the organization, administration, and supervision of special education classes. In the year of 1969, the classes for socially maladjusted children were organized at the Manila Youth Reception Teacher. And in the year of 1970, training of teacher for children with behavior problems started.
Thank you, Ms. Albina. I'm Keril Ann Ebalano, and let's continue the discussion for the timeline of special and inclusive education. In 1973, the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court of Manila established the Tahanan Special School for the socially maladjusted children and youth. In 1975, the Division of Manila City Schools implemented the Silahis concept of special education in public elementary schools. In 1979, the Bureau of Elementary Education Special Education Unit conducted a 2-year nationwide survey of unidentified exceptional children who were in school. In 1980, the School for the Crippled Children at the Southern Island Hospital in Cebu City was organized. In 1990, the Philippine Institute for the Deaf and Oral School for Children with Hearing Impairment was established. In 1992, the summer training for teachers of the visually impaired started at the Philippine Normal University. In 1993, the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports issued Order No. 14 that directly regional officers to organize the Regional Special Education Council, or RESC. In 1995, the summer training for teachers of the hearing impaired was held at the Philippine Normal University. In 1999, DEC's Order No. 33, implementation of Administrative Order No. 101 that directing the Department of Public Works and Highways, the DECS, and the CHED to provide architectural facilities or structural features for disabled persons in all state college, universities, and other buildings. In 2000, the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, Order No. 11, Section 2000, recognizing special education or SPED centers in the Philippines. In 2002, an ongoing mobile teacher training program by the Department of Education and the University of the Philippines trains regular and special education teachers on how to educate children with special needs. In 2007, Special Education Act of 2007 identifies 10 groups of children with special needs, which are the gifted children and fast learners, the mentally handicapped or mentally retarded, the visually impaired children, hearing impaired children, and children with behavior problems, orthopedically handicapped, children with special health problems, children with learning disabilities like perceptual handicap, brain injury, minimal brain dysfunction, dyslexia, and developmental aphasia. Speech impaired, and the last one is persons with autism. In 2009, the Department of Education under its wing had 217 SPED centers that catered to the needs of children with special needs. The department issued Braille textbooks to help especially visually impaired children. Braille textbooks is a system of writing and printing for blind or visually impaired people, in which varied arrangements of raised dots representing letters and numerals are identified by touch. In 2010, Special Education Act of 2010, an act establishing at least one special education center for each school divisions for children with special needs, guidelines for government financial assistance and other incentives and support. In 2012, the Department of Education has increased the funding for its special education program and is set to open new centers. In 2013, DepEd organized a national conference for SPED teachers to sharpen their skills, and recently, in 2022, a new law is approved. It is the Republic Act 11650, inked by Duterte on March 11, provides that no learner shall be denied admission based on their disability. The new law provides that all schools, whether public or private, shall ensure equitable access to quality education to every learner with disability. That's all for our discussion.